You began to say earlier on that you have already noticed that your mind has done some form of a reset.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that's quite a big statement.
Yes, it is. I mean, I didn't. m- When I started this journey, I thought that, you know, it said mind reset, but I was thinking, how can you reset somebody's mind? You know, what do you have to do to reset somebody's mind? But I can really say that I have started the journey of me thinking in a
Different.
different way. And
Wow.
that's a mind reset.
Wow. I mean, that's a big statement. So because we're dealing with something that you can't see, it's very hard to measure. So can you give us an example, one or two examples that can, for you, solidify that sense of, there's been some change in my mind. So,
So it's a bit hard to describe, really, but I'll do my best
okay.
to try and verbalize it. But I see things differently. It's
Yeah.
almost as if I see the world differently.
Wow.
Like when I'm going down the street, it's as if, it's like sometimes it's a bit hazy and seeing things the, the way people are, the way you talk to people and people interact with you, it's very different the way I interact with people.
So are you saying that the old you used to see, if you're walking down the street, things would seem a bit hazy and now they
Maybe
don't?
hazy is not the right word. Maybe it's just seeing things a bit differently. That's why I said it's hard for me to describe.
Okay. So would you say it's more you see a freshness and an optimism where it wasn't there before? Is it
Oh yes. Even in these times, I'm feeling happier. So
okay? So
I,
that there
I
you
have
go.
no fear.
Okay, so now we're talking. So you're saying words like you're happier,
Hmm.
you're not experiencing a sense of fear,
No fear.
optimistic
Yep.
about yourself and life generally.
Yes. About
Wow.
where I'm going,
And where
what
you're
I'm
going,
doing,
what you're doing. Okay.
who I'm interacting with, who I associate myself with. All those things just makes my life much
Richer.
better. Yeah, richer. Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Definitely.
And it sounds to me like it sounds to me like something has been triggered, almost like an awareness. You're more consciously aware of all of those things that you just described. So you're noticing that you're happier. You're
Yes.
noticing who you're engaging with and the circles that you're choosing to engage with.
Mm.
You're noticing that you're optimistic. You're noticing that you're clear about where you're going. Is
Mm.
that would that be a fair description?
Yes, I'll tell you what. This is one of the lessons that you taught me. So I'm actually being deliberate and not trying to say because you've made me so conscious of that now that I
Um,
try to think and speak a bit slower so that I can say the right words and not say so I'll
and
try
so
not.
and so do you find that you even catch yourself listening to yourself when you're speaking?
Yep.
And
Yep.
that in itself reinforces and reminds you that I'm different because the old me used to speak cha 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 cha.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
And the old me used to speak without thinking, you know, uh, not actually thinking about what I'm going to say, but just talking for the heck of it, just say so that people would think I'm saying something. But it's best not to say anything. Just be quiet, then just say things that really don't make sense to you or to anybody. Because sometimes I sit down and I think, did that make sense? I'm not saying that everything I say doesn't make sense, but sometimes you just feel like I didn't really need to say anything at that point in time. So but now it's more deliberate. Now I don't mind the silence. That's the thing. So I don't mind the silence
And
anymore.
you know, that's really an important point, because you not minding the silence is a display of assured confidence.
Mm,
You see, people who have to punctuate silence with a
yeah.
it speaks of, to some degree, not always, you know, but it can tend to illustrate a lack of confidence to some degree.
Mm,
You know, someone who's in a conversation and is posed with a question and then pauses to gather their thoughts.
mm.
Even you yourself, you'll be waiting to hear what is
Yeah.
going to come out of this person.
Yeah. I can't wait.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's really,
True.
I mean, some people might listen to that and think, oh, okay. But for you, that's quite a big thing, because when you started the journey, you were that other person that was always speaking. In fact, you actually made a joke about the fact that I speak relatively slowly, and you were saying that when you first heard me speaking, you thought, "What's wrong with this guy?"
Yeah. Yes, I did. I was so impatient. I thought, okay, I just switched it off. I said, nah, I can't. I need somebody to be talking constantly, to keep me engaged. But then, as I told you, I was listening to Michelle Obama, and she was talking about Barack and how slow he talked. And I was listening to him, and I said, okay, this guy is making sense. He's very deliberate about what he says. He takes it easy and doesn't rush. And then when I listened to him, I said, well, it's not he's not the problem. I'm the problem. I can't sit down and, be patient enough for somebody to really listen to what people are saying. So from then I thought that, okay, I need to take it, just to be a bit more patient and listen to, people don't have to rush into saying something.
Absolutely. But tell us, let's confess, was that the trigger that made you decide to do the Grow Personal Success
Yeah, yeah,
program?
yeah.
Was it?
Yes, you got it right. You got it right. Because when I used to see your videos, it used to come into my inbox, and I would ignore it basically.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
was
go on.
after that when I did a lot of thinking, and a few weeks later you popped up again, and I started listening again, and this time I said, okay, let me listen. Let me listen. And then it came to me that, oh, you're not that slow actually. You don't speak that slowly, but you're very considered, and you take your time, and
And
when
clearly, you obviously liked what was being said.
yeah, and I like what was being said. And really and truly, as I've told you before, I have been on a journey of trying to discover so many things about myself for so many years. And I've been doing it by myself. And I just felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. I've got so many books, so many self-help books, spiritual books, every kind of book. I've got it. Even the Think and Grow Rich book that we,
I studied.
we studied, I read it in 2006, and it didn't resonate with me at all. But now that I read it with our book
book
club,
book study club.
it's just as if I've just read it for the first time.
Wow, because you were able to get the gems, the inner,
Yes, yeah.
deeper meanings. It's not just an ordinary book, is
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's not a storybook, it's a textbook that you actually have to study,
it? Yeah, yeah.
basically. So what I was saying is that I was doing all this all by myself, and when I saw your video, the mere fact that you were in UK also, said you were in London, also said, okay, that's good, because everything I listen to is all these Americans, blah blah
Right.
blah. Not that they're not good, they're all good, but the
But
fact that you're very nearer to me made it, you know, easier for me to decide as well. And
yeah,
what you were talking about that time, you were doing your evening dinners and everything. And I wish I attended. I didn't attend any of them, but
right.
now I wish I came.
Don't worry, they're going to come back real soon.
yes, I hope so. I hope so.
So that was really the deciding factor. So you tuned in, you listened, and now for the first time, you listened and you found that you liked what was being said.
Yeah.
And that really is a real demonstration and an example of what happens to many people.
Mm,
See, I've been popping into your inbox all the while,
mm,
but you weren't still enough to
mm,
hear.
mm.
And that's what happens to many people, that the very thing that they're looking for is right there. You know that saying that you're traveling in Nigeria to Sokoto to
So
find what's in
what's
your
your
Sokoto,
shokoto?
what's in your trouser pocket.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Mm,
and that's what many people do, searching, running around, looking for stuff, and it's right there.
yeah.
If they could only be still
Mm-hmm.
and pay attention,
Yeah.
and I'm reminded, but it's really a case of, even in the good book Matthew, and we found ourselves referring to Matthew often, the book of Matthew, in your journey, which is quite interesting, because at the beginning of the year, that was one of the things that came to me in
Mm,
my meditation, that the book of Matthew would be so useful for many of the students on the GPS program, and it was really useful for you. And in there, it talks about the people who are not still enough, or, and I'm just paraphrasing, but they will see and they will not see, and they
mm,
will hear and they won't understand.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and with the greatest respect, you sound like formerly that was you.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Oh, yes. Like formerly, I would see, but I wasn't seeing anything really.
Wow.
I was just going on, but I knew that I was on the right path. I knew that I was in the right place that I should be in, but there was something missing.
Right.
There
So
was. It's as if I needed somebody else to join me on
yeah,
that path to, like,
totally.
okay,
Totally. I mean, what
yeah.
I'm hearing is that, so you knew, because this happens to many people when they try to articulate the state that they were in before
Mm,
we connect. And on a deeper level, almost on a soul level, you were searching for something,
mm-hmm,
but didn't know what that thing looked like, because
mm-hmm,
the searching wasn't looking for a car or looking for a phone. It wasn't a tangible thing.
mm, mm,
But at the same time, it was a knowing that when you find that thing, you would know.
yeah.
And
Mm.
so we began to, I think you joined our R.I.C.H Society. Was that the first step?
I joined the, yes,
Or
and
was
then
it the
the
mind
mind
reset course?
reset, the
Yeah,
mind
so
reset. Yeah.
I think you actually joined and had the whole package, in as much as you did the mind reset course,
Mm-hmm.
you joined the book study club, and you did the R.I.C.H Society membership, which allowed you to engage with our conscious community.
Mm.
And would you say that the mind reset was really the first thing that began to open you up to looking at yourself in a different kind of way?
Yes, the mind reset, the goals and visions sheet. That was the first one. The first version that I wrote, I was just like typing all sorts in it, everything, blah blah blah. And then I had a look at it again with you and went through it again. And since then, I would say that I haven't been looking at it every day, because but I
Yes,
want to do that. It's
yes,
by my bedside table,
yes.
but I look at it constantly. I look at it constantly. And it's part of, what we talked about in, always keeping your visions next to you and always referring to it. And that would enable you to take action. If you've got the vision in your mind, it's
Of
not just a
course.
dream, it's on paper, and it's something that is actionable. If you're constantly looking at it, you will take action.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, when we read Think and Grow Rich, it was then actually even referred to, a similar technique was actually described in the
Yes.
book, to
Yes.
confirm that what we're dealing with here are
Yes.
universal spiritual principles that those who
Mm,
know have been
mm.
employing for centuries.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Mm.
so I think, would you say that, coupled with you engaging in the R.I.C.H Society and seeing and hearing the interactions and the experiences people had there and the book study club, was it a combination of all of those things that made you then decide, I want more, I want to actually start the 12-week Grow Personal Success holistic mentoring program?
Yes, that is it. And I knew that I would get a lot more if I did the one-to-one.
Yeah,
Because if this is what I'm doing in a group session, what's going to happen in a one-to-one,
yeah.
and yeah, I just did it, and I think that was a good move for me.
Well, it definitely was. And I want to give you more credit than I just did it, because actually what you did in truth was you took a massive step of
Mm,
faith.
mm,
And the truth, and the reason why I'm bringing that out is because no one can actually step to the Grow Personal Success 12-week program unless they summon that faith.
mm,
Because I guess we deliberately don't, we don't say, oh, come on this course and you're going to get X, Y, and Z, because every single person is different.
yeah.
But what it is a case of, if we have the one-to-one
Mm,
and you express based on what you put in your vision and goal sheets, Tony, this is where I want to get to. And I look at it and I feel confident
mm,
that I can assist you in that journey in terms of progress. Only when both of us can see that, yeah, we want this, then will I say yes. And so
mm,
I was really pleased when you said that you wanted to make that move, and we
mm,
began. And lo and behold, within a very short space of time, I mean, I recall some of our very first sessions, and in terms of where you were at that time, I mean, even though you had opened up through the mind reset course, there was still a lot of uncertainty, unhappiness, and
mm,
clarity, and and stuckness,
yeah.
because you began to describe your business idea that you had been sitting on for
Mm,
almost a decade.
mm,
And that really was a description of many areas of your life.
mm,
But within a few weeks, things began to change.
mm. Yes, yes, especially the business area, that I was just majorly stuck there. It was like there's something in me that was keep on pushing me that, you can do this, do this, do this. But something else was like pulling me back.
Yeah.
So speaking with you and going through all the little statements that you say, like about life, life is giving this opportunity. If life takes it away, don't let life take it away, and all that stuff, all those little things. It just made me really, really start putting more effort into the business, and do more things. And that some opportunities have come up for me to present my business and all that stuff, and that has given me a lot more encouragement.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going too fast, though. Let's slow down, because really what I wanted to pick up on is the fact that, you said that when we were, doing our sessions, I said a few things, but I think more importantly, those first few sessions, I don't know if you realize, towards the end of the 12-week program, we started focusing on business and a lot of opportunities came about. But in truth, those could never have happened had we not had our sessions, the first few sessions where the total focus was on Laide and where was Laide coming from, right
Mm,
back to your childhood. We went
yeah.
and identified certain things that in some cases you hadn't even acknowledged, and in
Mm,
some cases you hadn't even given yourself credit for,
mm,
and in some cases you'd actually created a, an invisibility for yourself.
yeah.
And I think those things, being made aware and having to look, and also just doing that journey, because I think you'd said that you'd never actually done that kind of a journey in terms of pausing, being
Mm,
still, and just looking at your life and acknowledging and
mm,
giving yourself credit, because you've done a lot. You, as far as you had been concerned, you
Yeah.
weren't even aware.
Yeah. When we were doing that session, I thought, oh my God, why is Tony asking me all these questions? Like from year one to up to now, every single year. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, do we have to do this? But yes, that I think that is really important, and that is something that everybody needs to do. Yeah,
Wow.
I think so.
Because it gave you, and I know that even after the sessions, it gave you time to, like when you finished the session, the thoughts lingered, didn't they?
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
yeah, thoughts lingered, and it made me actually think and acknowledge quite a lot of things that I've done and achieved, been through, good, bad, everything, and laying things to rest that
Okay.
I've been lingering on in the background, and just
Yeah.
saying, you know what, let's just move on,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
And that's really important, because what many people don't realize is when we don't allow things to rest, or we don't heal from them,
Mm,
you see, by spiritual law, you can't experience abundance if you haven't addressed healing.
mm,
You have to heal first the
yeah.
different areas of your life, mentally, emotionally, particularly for where women are concerned,
Mm,
spiritually, financially, in all of those 5 areas that we call the 5 pillars. You have to heal from any wounds that may exist before you can grow and experience
move
abundance in
on.
any of those
Yeah,
areas.
yeah, because all that is stock energy, isn't it?
Of course it is.
Yeah, so you need to get rid of all that to
Yeah.
make space for
But
better
but
things.
but you're saying it now. You're telling me now. But
Mm,
at the time you were in it, you couldn't
mm,
see it.
mm,
And that right there, you telling me that without being prompted,
mm,
demonstrates and is a further illustration of how your mind has shifted. Because
yeah.
where you couldn't see stuff before,
Mm,
you're now saying this is stuck energy.
yeah.
Yeah. And of course, now that that energy is released, there's a flow. It's like the difference between a a pond and a brook.
Hmm.
Yeah. They both hold water, but a brook has water running through it. And so you can have clean water running through it. But
Mm,
a pond is stagnant water.
yeah.
And what happens to the stagnant water? Eventually, it begins to stink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
And that's exactly how it is with energy. If you
mm,
don't have the energy able to flow,
mm,
that's what happens.